4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
If you have any poo, fling it now.
Hey, everybody. We made it back for a second show. Now, we ran into some problems last week. I ain't mentioning no names. I ain't calling nobody out, but her initials are J. But no, there was an issue with trying to upload the video to the phone, and the phone crashed. And next thing you know, Red was public enemy number 1, and I'm on the hackers list with the FBI and shit. And I'm like, no, they didn't happen that way. It was a complete fucking soup sandwich, but that's who we are, though. That's what we do. So, but that's everything got solved and resolved. And Jenny hit me up a couple of days ago and said, if you want to talk about the paranormal situation with Beth, and I'm like, what situation? hit me to that. So she turned me on to an episode of the Dead Files, and my wife watches it, or used to watch it, and so I watched the episode and stuff. I'm like, pretty interesting. But this is Beth here, and she was actually part of the show. Well, Gio, what do you say? You were contacted by them, or you contacted them? So
yeah, you
were on that episode. But that episode is all about you and what happened to your family with some kind of haunting that when it happened in your house. But so that's what we got going on there. So, but Beth, I heard that you were actually part of the original show, That Tain't Right. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what do you think about the situation?
With That Tain't Right?
Yeah.
I loved it. It was just, we didn't have a very organized group of people that was on time, and it just didn't, we had problems, and then Jenny was overwhelmed with the editing. We weren't very organized.
No, we didn't have anything. It was our first thing. You know,
well, that's the way Jenny explained it. That's the way Jenny explained it. She goes, "I'm just so fucked up."
That was a good way to explain it.
She goes, people talking over each other, and all they would do is talk about TikTok and all that shit. And I'm like, all right, so you're in control of the show. You control the time, because I've had her on my podcast for a couple of times, and I showed her how I do things. I'll get the flow going and all that. But like I said, I've been doing this for a very long time, but she recruited me onto this, and I'm down with it. So here we are at Soup Sandwich, and today we're talking about when things go bump in the night. Listen to motherfucker, you got to bump back. You know what I'm saying? But Beth, you were involved in a situation where you bought a house, and it actually was haunted. Is that what the case was? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, go ahead. Go ahead.
It was more the land than the house.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of the area itself. My background is I'm actually in the supernatural, esoteric, the occult. I mean, anything metaphysical. That's all me. So I'm cool with all this. So let me see if I.
Yep.
Let me see if I can try this again. It says share screen, Chrome tab, share audio, and we're going to play this video for the audience to give them an idea of what's going on with the episode you were on. Y'all ready for this?
Yep.
As ready as I'm going to get. I hate watching it.
Now, I did ask her if it was okay if we played this, and she said, you said it was okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you don't want me to show this, I can add it in later on.
You're fine.
All right.
I'm in Warsaw, Wisconsin, about an hour and a half from Green Bay. I didn't think long about taking on this case. I received a call from a mother of 4 who just moved into a new townhouse and says the entire family's under attack. Now, to make things worse, she has a degenerative eye disease and now is legally blind. Her story really touched my heart, and I hope it could bring this woman some peace. So, Beth, when I spoke to you on the phone, it was obvious your problems here are pretty intense. Before we even get to that, I want to talk about your medical condition. You're going blind.
Yes. Just been slowly going blind since I was like 5.
Can you explain to me what you're seeing right now? Do you see me?
The clothes you're wearing are dark, and I can't see detail.
Okay, and how much time do you have left?
Maybe a couple months.
Wow. I mean, it breaks my heart. It's one of the main reasons I took this case. How long have you guys been here?
We've only been here for like 4 months. The last 2 places we were at got really intense. It's happened pretty much everywhere we've lived.
But now you bought this place.
Yes. We can't just up and leave like we did the last 2 houses.
Who exactly lives here in the house with you?
It's me, my fiance Clay, our 4 kids, Jeanette, she's 16, Mitchell, he's 14,
Okay.
Kaylee's 7, and then Clayton is 6.
Okay, so why don't you take me through what's going on?
You can hear stomping, you'll hear walking up and down the stairs, see a lot of dark shadows, and you'll hear voices. You feel like you're being watched 24/7 everywhere you are, and it started getting physical now.
I gotta assume this is frightening the kids.
We all sleep in here. This is where we all come. We move the table and we make a bed on the floor.
All you guys?
Yeah. Nobody wants to be in the room. I'm scared to death of my bedroom.
When you guys are all sleeping down here, does that make things better for you guys?
No, not really. I've started getting a little bit drained, feeling more tired than usual. The kids complain about stomach aches and headaches. As the activity intensifies, so does like the health issues.
To think that whatever's here is actually picking on you pisses me off. I mean, to the point where I want to strangle somebody. I don't know how you, as composed as you are.
I just learned to keep my composure very well. I have to. I just don't really have a choice. I have to do it for the kids.
Right.
They're my first concern. I just don't want my kids to have to rely on everybody else. I should be the one that is able to take care of them and protect them.
Yeah, but you can't do it all by yourself. That's Clay. At least now we know what's causing all the problems in your family. And I know you 2 guys are fighters. But we need to find out how to kick this out of the house so you can live here with your kids peacefully the way you guys deserve. I'll turn it over to Amy and she'll have an idea of what we can do about this.
What I would like is to get a really big, bad, scary male medium to come in and basically kick his ass out, and to then set up a very firm barrier around your property to keep the dead out of here. Let's just block those suckers out.
So I think I already know the answer to this question, but why such a big, burly, tough medium?
This crazy lunatic tries to prey on the weak, and he is an abuser. And I think that he's quite afraid of men. It'll be very intimidating and frightening for him.
It's the first time I've seen you 2 smile the entire night. I mean, this is good news, I think.
I'm hoping.
How you feeling, bud?
Still a little in shock, but Amy found hopeful that by doing what she suggesting that things will get better.
You guys got a lot of love going on here. So that helps.
Thank you guys very much.
So
All right.
Wow. Intense.
Yeah, actually, I cut it down because I wanted to show just an idea. But if anybody wants to find the episode, it's called The Dead Files. It was season 6, episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's out there, you know. Now, I first asked you before we got on the air, well, you still in the same house? You said no. How long did y'all stay there after that episode aired?
A couple more months, and then we moved. We left and let a relative make the payments on the house, and we moved out to buy. We were going to buy my grandma's house, but
okay,
it didn't really make a difference.
So relocation.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't make a difference, huh?
No.
Now,
no, there's a lot the show doesn't show. So.
Yeah, I imagine
Yeah.
because, like I said, I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience in these situations. I've been there myself. I'm still there myself. I'm in tune to a lot of different things, metaphysical and spiritual world is definitely one of them. I'm not saying I'm a medium or psychic like that, but I am in tune to a lot of these things. So when I watched this episode, and I'm like, she seemed kind of the psychic herself seemed kind of like showboating, if you will. I'm not trying to put her down or anything, but it seemed like she was kind of showboating, if you will. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that it showed in the episode.
Yeah,
they pretty much focused on Yeah, a lot of things that you were going through and, happened at the house. And one thing I know I did hear was this wasn't the first time. You lived somewhere else where it happened before.
Oh, that place was even worse, but we couldn't get permission to go into it because the woman who owned it was like in a home because she was sick and whatever.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't get permission to do that one, or we would have done that one because that one was even worse.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm just curious. When they talked about, trying to expel and ward off the, the property and all that, did y'all even try anything like that?
When we looked into it, first off, they don't, not to be mean, because I appreciate them coming, but they did not give any inclination of where to find somebody like that. So I'm Googling and nobody is within vicinity. Finally, Steve actually messaged me back and gave me a list of people and places, but they were all so far away, it would have costed us a fortune to get them to come there to do anything.
Right.
Gotcha.
So there was nothing we could do about it. There was nobody around that we could find that was within a decent vicinity that wouldn't cost $1 million.
Well, now, what about yourself, though? I mean, because there's talismans, there's rituals, there's, basic sage, there's always something that you can do yourself to, protect your home and the outside,
I saged all the time. I did that quite often, but and then she gave me like selenite and stuff to try to, me and my daughter, she gave us selenite because we tend to attract spirits because we can feel them, see them, hear them, all sorts, whatever.
Right.
So,
no, I understand that completely.
So we had that from her, but besides that, there was really nothing that I was knowledgeable enough to do. And then to find out on top of it that apparently the area we live in has 3 minerals that normally are not all high in the same area.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of intensifies it because we have a lot of haunted places around here.
I was thinking I was going to ask you about that. Now, let me, Jenny, you have anything for Beth before I get into my questions and everything?
I was just curious when I was watching it, when your daughter was waking up with bruises on her. What is that about? What, like?
They said it was from him literally getting physical with her.
While she was sleeping.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she would literally wake up with bruises all over her, and she had no reason to have bruises all over her.
Wow.
Now, I've heard experts say that it's called sleep paralysis and all that shit. Myself, I'm a dreamscaper. I've heard, I'm like, yeah, but I've had battles in my dreams. I've had to train myself internally and subconscious, to fight battles in my dream against other entities. I mean, that's just part of my situation, part of my life. But they call it sleep paralysis and everything. And I'm like, so when I saw that picture, I'm like, yeah, I know what that is, but they're not telling the whole story, the whole idea. But I disagree and agree with sleep paralysis as a psychological, physical condition. But I'm like, you're leaving the metaphysical out. You're leaving out a big key of what's actually going on internally,
See, but what I don't get is, okay, at the house before I was told I had sleep paralysis, I would have these moments where I would be awake. I couldn't move my body, but there would be like an entity throwing me around. And I literally looked at the clock and I would look at my husband, but I couldn't say anything. I could just move my eyes, but I couldn't say anything. And then when I'd come out of it, the time would be like a minute or two later. So if I was sleeping, how am I knowing what time it is? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It was scary. That was scary.
I know exactly what I see. I know. Like I said, I've been there myself. I've actually had battles in my dreams with other entities and could not move, could not do anything. So I would actually have to train myself subconsciously to take on these fights,
Yeah, because when they're, have you ever had
physical
sitting on top of you?
Yeah.
Like you can see it and it's holding you down, but they're telling you it's just a nightmare. Right. And you're having sleep paralysis when you tell the doctor.
It's just a bad dream. It's just
a really bad dream.
Listen here, motherfucker. You don't know my background. Yeah. You don't know what I've gone through and what's gone through me. You know what I'm saying? So I studied a lot of this shit growing up because it actually was part of who I was. And people call them, demon lovers, if you will. They are out to harm you at the same time. They're doing these things. But the experts, the psychologists say that, a medical professional, it's just sleep paralysis. So they don't even dive into the metaphysical aspect of what's actually going on internally, subconscious, during the dreamscape itself. They don't even bother. They're like, oh, that's hocus pocus. That's wishy-washy. Listen here, motherfucker. That's real stuff that y'all need to think and look into. But so that's what I saw that picture, and I was like, yeah, I know exactly what that shit is. I've actually had people tell me that I've growled in my sleep. I've made noises like I'm going to war and shit, and I'm dead asleep. And they're like, it wasn't snoring. You were growling. You was snoring. I mean, you was going to war, making war cries, and you were like in a battle. I said, actually, I was. Because that's something I had to train myself to do, because I knew I could not fight this entity externally. I had to take it to the inside, So I had to learn those things over my lifetime. But now the sage, did you know you actually could smoke sage?
Yeah, I did hear about that. I was sage myself, but I never smoked it.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if anybody out there, I don't know if anybody out there is a marijuana smoker or whatever, but Jenny left. She's like, fuck it, I'm gone.
Where'd she go?
Oh, I gotta call, my father calls in while I'm recording.
All right. So, like I said, everybody knows me. I'm an old school head. Partake in marijuana, extremities all through my lifetime, whatever. So I'm a amateur psychonaut, if you will. But I found out a long time ago, you can actually make a little bit of sage and mix a little bit of marijuana together, and it actually provides a good buzz, and it also is a good cleanser too. For your internal, now you burn in sage is supposed to get everything externally, but if you actually inhale the sage smoke, even if you're smudging and inhale it, it actually helps you internally also. Now my problem,
try the sage, I just can't try the marijuana because marijuana gives me anxiety.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, but you also got to. Well, you can also get the indica. The indica might help you with the anxiety.
I tried that. I get like restless body syndrome. It's insane.
Really? Even off the hybrids? Okay. But now, even like if you're just smudging, you got to smudge, stick, whatever. You just get a good inhale of the sage smoke itself, and it actually helps you internally. You can also use mix it with lavender. You can mix it with mandrake. You can mix it with ginseng. You can mix it with other chamomile. Chamomile works actually pretty good with sage because it is a cleanser and a sedative at the same time. It makes you a little bit, I'm not saying high or stoned out of your mind, but it is a good mental cleanser, if you will.
Yeah.
That's that. Because like I said, my old lady's a hedge witch, and I've been pushing her to go that direction for the past 3 years because I knew what her direction was. Apothecary, anything to do with herbs, salves, medicines, homemade remedies. I'm out.
Excuse me.
Well, I'm saying, but that's why I'm. Go ahead.
I was in a group after Amy told me about stuff and trying to help me kind of control some of what I see and hear and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I joined a group and we worked with each other. And one of the ladies could read like past life type things with you. And she told me it's weird because she told me I told her about a vision I had one time and just small detail. And she told me that I was into apothecary and all that. And it was a family thing. Well, almost everyone in my family has some kind of thing. Like my aunt could tell us when someone was pregnant. My mom had the same kind of stuff I had going on. And then
intuition. Yeah. Very strong intuition.
This group they would give us we'd share pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to read the picture of the person. I don't know how many of those I did, and I was able to tell exactly how the person passed away. I can tell traits that they had. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how dead on I was. And it was just, and the more we did it, the better I got at it. It was weird. It's weird.
That's actually one of my questions in my notes. Is I might as well hit that one first. Is was it something happened later on in life, or is this something that you actually experienced? Pretty much all your life.
Pretty much all my life, I've had stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Always
Same
something. Here. Yeah, like I said, it's almost like, but I believe that everybody, I honestly believe everybody has the ability to be in tune like that.
But they choose to ignore it. They choose to ignore it. Yeah, they choose to ignore it.
Exercise. It's like trying to get in shape. You have to work it.
Yes.
You know, you need to work with it.
Yeah, I see. That's why I say everything that's my anything that they consider esoteric or occult or metaphysical. I'm also a practitioner, but my practitioner stuff goes on a different level. I'm more of a bard, if you will, than a mage. But then people will still call me a mage, and I'm like, no, I'm more on the bard level because I like to use these things to better my life, not anybody else's life. Or I try to use these things to better my situation or the people around me, you know, close vicinity. But I've been involved in a lot of these things. I mean, pretty much all my life. Started when I was about 15, but I knew that I was connected to some kind of something different at a very young age. But as I got older, I started reading about these things, you know, learning these things, and I'm like, and it carried on, you know, through my entire life. That's where I am now. But now I do have some questions. But Jenny, you got anything else for Beth before we get into the questions?
So you said how long after when you moved out of that house after that show aired? How long was it? A couple months?
Probably a couple months.
Okay.
We ended up switching. It wasn't real long.
Yeah. Now, do you still get these like spirits or something that visit you, or these ghosts? Like,
I do. I really do. But I like it. Just got to the point where it was kind of overwhelming for a while. So I've worked on kind of just not totally tuning it out, but just learning to ignore things
and coping with it, right? Just
how to
cope. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I mean, there's times I don't mind,
yeah.
but there's certain things that I don't want to deal with because
I
just know it's not something nice.
You just tone it out.
Yeah. Well, that's my notes also. I'll bring that up later. But yeah, this last one, it seems like it was pretty much a heavily in the negative realms of the energy itself, you know. So I mean, and mental, physical, and I mean everything was coming out. So to me, it almost sounded like a poltergeist. Now you talk about the land itself and the minerals and everything like that. So I get all that. Now me myself, I have never really encountered a poltergeist on my different levels. If I have, we never really conflicted, if you will. Now, my girlfriend at the time, before she was my wife, she'd wake up with scratches all down her back and whelps and everything. And I used to take pictures, and I'm like, holy shit. So you're getting fucked with it in your sleep. And I'm like, okay. So I had to have a talk with the Haints, and I'm like, listen, here, she ain't part of this shit. You want to come fuck with somebody, come fuck with me. We're the ones that have the conflict. You need to come talk to me. Leave her out of this. So I've had to talk to my spirits here and shit.
You do. You have to learn. You have to learn to set boundaries with them. And
well,
you got to
and they don't
comply.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, there also are, you know, there's talismans, there's trinkets. I mean, a lot of people don't understand how the metaphysical world works because they either watch TV or movies, whatever, and see the Hollywood, you know, aspect or the mumbo jumbo. I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. But every now and then they'll let some truth slip up in there. I'm not sure if you ever heard of red brick dust.
No.
No.
A lot of people use salt, you know, for the circles and the barriers and all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Red brick dust is one of the most powerful things out there that actually, like I say, sets boundaries, if you will. Just give you everybody a thing out. But anybody that's into the lifestyle, they know these things. But so I did have some questions. And if anybody wants to find that episode, like I said, it is called The Dead Files. And it is season 6, episode 5. And the title episode is called The Darkening. Don't know why they call it that, but I guess because of the shadow figures and all that shit. So let's see. Now, you talked about how your energy was zapped and others would feel sick at the time, right?
Yeah.
That was on the show. So that physical, I mean, I've heard those scenarios myself where people would get nauseous or, you know, just get downright, you know, drained and all that stuff. At the time this was going on, the hauntings, did y'all have any pets? Cats, dogs?
Just Chloe. I don't even know if we had Chloe yet.
Because I'm saying, because, you know, most animals are actually, most animals are in tune to a lot of these things, so they would have spotted them right off the bat.
I don't think we
had an animal
at that point. I think we got our animal after we moved out into the other house.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Now, okay, now you talked about being zapped of energy and being sick. Now, another common scenario I've seen, I watch a lot of these ghost shows, and I've actually got friends in. I've got no, I'm not. Well, I had a lot of friends that are into the paranormal sightings and hauntings and research and all that stuff. And one thing you always hear about is feeling hot, cold, or electricity, in the air or spaces.
Cold.
Did that ever happen during these times? Cold, really?
Lots
like in certain spots of the house, or
you could just feel it.
Spots.
Like you could run
your hand through the air
and feel the difference.
Right, just like or a hot spot. Did you ever feel any electricity at all, or was it mostly just cold spots?
No, just mostly cold spots as far as that stuff goes.
Okay, and y'all did see on the episode, y'all actually saw these forms as a shadow.
Yeah, there was a very, very tall shadow one that stood in my two daughters' room doorway constantly.
Right.
Yep. And
I saw that. So yeah, I mean, you saw him and she saw him. That now did the two little kids see him at the time, or they just had the felt of the presence?
No, they had the presence. Like my son would constantly get poked.
Oh,
he would tell me,
wow.
He's poking poking me all the time, and he was just little, and he's telling me he's poking me. He also told me when he got up for a drink of water like in the middle of the night, it was middle of the night sometime. He got up for a drink of water. We were all still sleeping in the living room, and he was really upset. He came to me and he's like, the man told me that if I told you I saw him, he would kill me. And
like I said, I'm curious because it sounds to me like a lot like a poltergeist haunting than a regular standard haunting. That's because the physical touch. Yeah, the physical touch itself sounds more like an interaction of poltergeist than it would be a specter or wraith or an actual ghost or anything like that.
I played with it one time. I used the microwave because I was curious. I wanted to see.
All right.
Because I got my kids telling me stuff, and I got stuff going on. Everyone's got stuff, so I would push a button on the microwave, and I would tell it to clear it. It literally would clear it. I would tell it to push 5. It would push 5. What? We could literally get this thing to push the buttons that we wanted pushed.
Wow.
Now,
you started taking advantage of it.
Yeah, did y'all film any of this stuff?
Our oven would get turned on by itself. Things like that. Our oven would be turned on. Would get up in our ovens on.
It does sound to me like it was more poltergeist than it was specter. But did y'all ever film any of this stuff? Catch anything on film?
No, we really didn't.
I'm just curious because that's the reason why I won't film. Because I know I will catch stuff, and I'm like, nope, don't want to go there.
I want to see it.
Yeah, right. I don't want to see that shit. That's for sure.
I don't want evidence. That's why I have a hard time watching that show. Period. Because I still get the really bad energy. I swear I can still feel the bad energy from that house through the video.
Wow.
So I hate watching it. I hate watching it.
Oh, that's why I asked if I wasn't do that. Let's see.
I never had an experience like that before. I mean, I talk to the voices in my head, but I'm just fucking nuts,
I could very well be. Maybe that's what's wrong with me, okay?
No, don't buy into the crazy shit because I'm wackadoodle. But I know my goings on up in here. Like I said, there's a few critters in here. We have tea parties. That's why I won't sage myself. Is because there are some things up here that float around and have conversations, and not all of them are bad. I don't want to get rid of them. Sometimes you got to take the good with the bad. That kind of deal. We have a tea party up in here. Yeah, I don't want to get rid of all of them. So
all I have to do is I've learned how to. It took me like a year and a half to learn to meditate. Okay, and at the house I lived at before here, I was doing it regularly because I was practicing that stuff with that group. So I needed to be open.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know, I meditated so deep one time. And when I was done, my kids and my husband are staring at me. I'm like, what? They're like, look out the window. I'm like, what? There was like 4 cats sitting outside my window.
Oh, they're coming hanging out with you.
Oh, shit.
Cats are like super, super like spiritual. I swear, it was crazy.
All animals are.
They were just staring at me.
Oh my god, you would
because we had windows that went from like the ceiling to the floor in the living room, and I'd sit in my chair there and put on my headphones and just. It was the craziest thing ever. I'm like, what is going on?
That's weird.
Yeah, that was actually one of the first things I had to learn how to do when I was like 15 was meditation. And the guy I studied from, he taught me a technique. He goes, if you really want to learn true meditation, you need to be on top of a rock in a rainstorm. Huh. That way you can actually know when you can block everything. So I find places out in the middle of a open area when it's actually raining or there's a lot of noise and sit there and meditate. I can do that nowadays. I actually go to sleep in crowded rooms. My wife could not. That's how we met. We met at a tea and tarot party where people actually there was like 80 people there, either reading tarot cards or getting their tarot cards read. And the noise was just overwhelming. People just talking, all the energies are. I passed out. And she goes, how could you do that? I said, because it was quiet. In my head, it was quiet. I didn't hear anything in my head. My head is like taking out. And I slept through most of everybody talking.
It's hard to learn to get there, though. But you can do that.
I started at a very young age. Yeah. And also, I'm from the South, so I did a lot of ocean work. I did a lot of water work, rivers, streams, lakes,
I love water.
Meditated a lot of that stuff. So I learned meditation at a very young age in different ways than everybody else. Instead of being in a quiet room, I would be somewhere that was actually noisy and able to calm my mind and become peaceful. So I had to learn that. Being in a quiet room, I don't get the same effect as I would being in a busy setting.
Right? It almost forces you to have to go deeper. It's like it forces you to have to go deeper.
Because you're like, oh, it's too quiet. I don't know what's going on. My mind don't want to shut off now. But in a noisy setting, my mind just, boom, blanks out. Well, not blanks out, but at least levels out to the point where I can just, think about what I want the process to be, where I want to go with this. Because like I said, I studied astral body travel when I was younger. I
tried to learn about that.
Oh, I did. Because I was telling Jenny, I said, Sylvia Browne was actually one of my greatest influences growing up. Because I thought she was great at what she did.
She's awesome.
My
the
mom
book she wrote.
Too.
Yeah. But I learned astral projection, out of body travel, and all that. But the things I didn't learn, because I was young and stupid, so I would skip ahead and like, okay, this is how I do that. But I didn't read about the shortcomings or the outcome or the cons or the negative aspects. Because once you actually your metaphysical injury leaves your body, now it's just an open shell or a husk because something else can come in there.
Exactly.
I didn't read that part because I'm like skip. Oh, this is how I do that. I didn't read the part about the bad part about that. So after all that time, but basically I adapted other energies from the Akashic web, and now they have tea parties in my head. So it's not so much that I have a split personality or hear voices or whatever, but I know there's more than one critter running around up in here, and they're like, oh, I know where that thought came from. So we don't talk to each other, but we have conversations of thought, if you will. Get ideas, bouncing around. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I got this next section here. Let's talk about locations. Now, the house they showed on the episode looked like a duplex. Was that the same place or was that someplace else?
Yeah, it was a side-by-side duplex.
So y'all bought the whole duplex?
Yeah, we rented the other side, and the other side did have problems too. They did interview them.
Oh, wow.
And they were having issues over there.
I was going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you about, so it wasn't actually a targeted occurrence because you are a metaphysical sponge, like you say. I'm pretty sure your daughter has some of the same traits. But
the girl over there,
yeah,
she was saging too, and her teenage daughter had some abilities. And she was being heavily affected by it too. So they interviewed. I don't think they put that on the show, but they did interview him. And
no, they didn't. That's why I was asking, because I was curious, because I saw the duplex and I'm like, well, did the neighbors have any problems? But like they said, they talked about the land itself. Let's see. The house was built on the grounds of an old factory. Also, there was an insane asylum a few miles away.
Oh shit!
Well, it wasn't an insane asylum. It was an asylum. Well, the insane asylum. They called it an asylum, but the actual idea was they took in all kinds of different, mental and physical problems.
There was a long record of a lot of really bad abuse and stuff to the patients.
Oh yeah.
Way back when. Yeah, and our house was like, this place was not like considered now. It's blocks from our house, whatever, but the whole area used to be a part of that.
And that's what and when you mentioned that thing about the minerals, all I can think it was, I wonder how close you are to a ley line. I was curious about that also. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I didn't think
okay,
about
but
that.
I know the soil and the ground itself, the minerals, the metals, anything that's in the soil and in the ground. Those could be conduits for a lot of different energies.
Yes.
Negative, positive, neutral, whatever and stuff. So that's when you said the thing. I was like, oh, they should have mentioned that, because that makes a lot of sense. Because
that's what conduit. They said. 3 of them were really high, and normally all 3 are not that high. They were super high. Right. She said.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know they talked about the guy. Himself, the one that was actually doing the actual haunting for y'all. He actually died in Alabama, but his ghost was still haunting that area. So I wonder if it was if it was his energy itself during the time that he actually lived there that got left behind when he left. Because he might himself might have been a symbiote or symbiosis of the spiritual energy. And when he left, this energy stayed behind.
That's what she said.
I didn't hear anything about that.
She said he appeared real glitchy to her, almost like pixelated. So she was wondering, she didn't really know why. And what you're saying might make sense with why he was.
To me, like, why he was the way he was.
Yeah.
He actually might have been a host to a super negative energy, if you will. And when he left town, the energy said, okay, I need to find somewhere to go. And that soil, that ground made a perfect, bed for him, made a perfect, living situation, if you will. And he was able to move around. Had any other neighbors around the neighborhood said anything about those things, or was it just that area?
I work with a girl who lives on the house on the other corner now.
All right.
And apparently all of them in that area over there have issues. Like a whole lot of people.
Oh, so he's got that shit on landlocked. That's his. Yep. That's his territory.
A whole bunch of our neighbors are dealing with it.
Yeah.
Like we had neighbors come over and talk to us too, because they were dealing with stuff at their houses too. Even when we were filming. So
as his curtains are moving, Andy, your curtains just moved.
Yeah, that's where my cat door is.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh.
Jenny's having a nervous breakdown.
Oh my God.
If you see a shadow, folk, it's no problem, because we got them here. We got our energies here. Yeah.
Okay.
This is where our cat door is. So our dog comes there also. So when the thing moves, it moves the curtain. Yeah, no. Ooh. No. Let's see. So now I have studied a lot of real estate ideas and legislature and laws over haunting houses and all that stuff and supernatural, just shits and giggles. I did it over the years. Now, when y'all moved in there, did y'all ask the realtors about the house being haunted at all?
No.
Since you've already experienced it before, where you were like, hey, by the way, is this house haunted? Because I do those things. When we came look at this house 3 years ago, I talked to our realtor, their realtor, the mortgage people, anybody with a new face. I'm like, hey, by the way, has there any words of the house having any spectral occurrences, ghosts, race, say anything supernatural? Like, nope, no, not at all. But by law, and I've known this for now, but by law, they are not required to release that information by law.
Yeah.
But all they can say is the property or house is stigmatized. And I'm like, well, if they'd have told me that, I'd have been fine. So now I know I have some shadow folk that travel with me wherever I go. That's a common occurrence. My animals have shadow folk, because we'll be out in the backyard and the cats will be playing with something by itself. And I'm like, what are they playing with? Their own shadow critters. So we accept a lot of different things in our life. And one thing has always been shadow folk, because I want them to know they have a place to go. As long as they don't start no funny business, no bullshit. You got to hang out here. Do whatever you want to do. You got somewhere to go. Now, when we first moved in, even when we did a walk around, I could feel like residual energy. Now, I knew it wasn't an actual wraith or a ghost or a spirit, whatever, but as a residual energy. There's different connections, okay? And I knew it wasn't anything physical, a physical form of it. It was just an energy. So I knew that was there. But I didn't feel anything negative at all. Now we always do certain things where you get a cinnamon broom, sweep out all the stuff into the the doors and everything. We do the saging and we do different talismans and everything. So, but we're never afraid of the spirits coming in and hanging out, as long as they behave and, like I say, set boundaries, if you will.
Right.
So we've always worked on those things. So we have them walking around, sometimes hanging out. Never bothers us. Now, did you ever talk to the previous owners? Did you ever talk to the previous owners?
No.
So yeah, no, because they actually got a thing where if owners of a house like you yourself owned a house and found out it was haunted and reported it publicly, like on a television program, you'd actually would have to, now you're legally obliged to tell the potential buyers that there was a situation with spiritual activity, but only if you did make it public notice, which you did, of course. But you said you want to rent a house with relatives, so everything's gravy on that. Oh, let's see.
We're like 41 minutes there, Rev.
Oh, I know. We're over. Well, this is actually a special show, so we're good. We ain't sitting around bullshit like we normally do.
Yeah.
This is a special show.
This is.
Let's see. I've already asked all these questions. Okay, good. All right. That was my notes, because I asked a bunch of questions at the beginning that was actually on the other pages. So you ever good on that? But I mean, basically, you said you moved out of everything. Now you're living in a new place. Have you had any experiences with shadow folk or anything, like any kind of energy, spiritual energy at all now?
Yeah.
You still do.
Here was, and all of us pretty much. One that really.
Now, how far away did you move? How far away did you move? How far away did you move? Let me ask that question.
Like a mile.
Oh,
so you're still in the same area. Damn it.
And the house before here is only a couple blocks away. And that one, I had a man that woke me up one morning screaming in my face, "Wake up!" And him and his stringy hair, his big boy.
Oh.
He freaked me out. Well, he was not mean. He liked to mess around. He thought he was funny. He would tap on my nightstand.
I say a lot of them are jokesters. A lot of them like to play.
Yeah, he would. Finally, it got to the point where it was interrupting my sleep, and I just told him, I'm like, you got two choices. You can either hang out in peace, or you need to go, because this is my house now.
Good.
Yeah.
Because it was too much. It was driving me nuts. I mean, I know we thought.
If you ever needed, if you ever need to talk to anybody about the situation, how to, make talismans or charms or any kind of things like that, I've got people, in my background, my foreground, that are actually still in tune to this. I got a lady that I call her my oracle. Anytime I got a question that I can't answer myself, or something I want to know, I'll contact her. She lives like 2 or 3 towns away, but she is so well in tune with like the hoodoo, voodoo, Santeria, anything Wiccan, anything magical. And she is just hands-on with everything. So I'll contact her first. Like, hey, I've had a situation, because I had something happen a couple years ago where I got hexed by some witches and shit because I called them out for some bullshit. And I knew they hexed me because I got straight plagued with some kind of shit. And I'm like, yeah, I fucked up. I called them out. They brought it on me. I got to figure out a way to cure this shit. I even went to the doctors. I said, listen, you're going to give me all these creams and pills and everything. This is not going to work because I'm hexed. Someone put a curse on me. They're like, that's just not real. I said, listen here. I'm letting you know right now. So they tried like 8 different creams, 8 different pills and shots. I had to get injections in my stomach. None of that shit worked. I stopped using all their medicines, contacted my oracle. And I said, hey, this is what's going on. She goes, do this, do that, you'll be fine. 3 days later, everything went away. I was like, okay, I had to break the spell first. Get rid of the curse and de-hex myself. But yeah, I pissed some witches off online, and they put it on me. They put it on me. And I had to accept that because that was my own fault.
I believe a girl did that to me. Somebody that was disgruntled with me, and she was into that stuff, and I believe she did that to me. I'm pretty sure she did.
But see, the only bad thing, I feel bad for them because, the idea of when you cast upon somebody else, you actually have to give part of who you are to get that energy out there.
Right.
Because magic ain't free. Magic ain't free. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
No. So whoever did this to me, they had to bring it on themselves also. And I felt bad about that because they took my words, you know, to heart, and they went the extra step and got the bowls out, got everything out, and like, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know, I accept my punishment for what I did, but I'm not going to apologize for what I said. But I do accept my punishment. Okay, I fucking pissed you off. I get it. My bad. But I ain't going to change what I said. So I understand this stuff. I understand this stuff all my life, and I know it's real. So to actually see someone go through something similar, I'm like, yep, it's out there. But yeah, that was all my notes. So, Cindy, you got anything else for the folks before we get out of here? Or
I am good.
Beth, you want to add something?
Anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. And it's funny because as soon as we get off the air, I'll come up with a couple more questions. I'll think about something later on.
That's how it always works.
But yeah, folks, if you're out there and you have something that go bump in the night, bump back. Don't be afraid. That is your prerogative. Like Beth says, you got to set boundaries with the motherfucker. You have to, because they don't understand the lines they're crossing. All they know is they're just having out there and their energies. But you ain't got to get rid of them. You just got to make them, you know, comply. That's all it is, you know. So we're gonna get out of here, y'all. This soup sandwich. It's been one of them days. We're gonna holler at y'all next week. Oh, my mouse is stuck. So I get to hit the end button now. Y'all say goodbye to me, folks.
Bye.
Bye.